Hi class, Professor Cook here. I am back with just a little bit left of Chapter 8 to cover sexual orientation, gender, and sexuality. So I'm just going to go over these slides and that will be it for our content. And then next week, all you need to do is finish up any outstanding homework and review for the final. And I posted some information about a final exam review session for you in D2L today. Okay, so just very quickly, sexual orientation here is referring to who you prefer in a partner. Do you prefer people of the same sex, the opposite sex, both sexes, or neither? That can vary and it can be fluid, both in terms of what someone prefers at a given time and over the course of their life. Meaning, someone can define themselves as straight earlier in their life and then redefine themselves as bisexual, pansexual, asexual later in their life. That's what fluidity is referring to here. Or they can go through preferences where they prefer partners of one identity or another at different times in their lives. Okay, so for us, gay or lesbian here is referring to people who are attracted to people of the same, this should probably be gender, the same sex, the same gender. The term homosexual is outdated and problematic. This was used to, it has a connotation of medicalizing in a deviant and mental health disorder way someone's sexual orientation, so it's outdated and we try not to use it anymore. So gay is for men who prefer men, lesbian is for women who prefer women. And then people who are heterosexual or straight are attracted to people of the opposite sex. Okay, people who are bisexual may be attracted to two genders, so it may not just be men and women. It may be women and non-binary people or men and non-binary people. So that gets a little more complicated as we reflect the true diversity of gender and sexual orientation identities we have in the world. People who identify as asexual may lack interest in sex. It doesn't mean they don't have sex, and it doesn't mean they don't have relationships. They may just not feel that desire, which is why on the gender unicorn, the person has, or the unicorn, I'm sorry, has two hearts, one symbolizing sexual attraction and one symbolizing romantic attraction. Okay, so as I was saying in the last slide, homosexuality as a term is a bit outdated because it was used to discriminate against individuals and medicalize sexual orientation as a disease. Homosexuality was defined as a disorder in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual, which is the big book that they use to define psychological disorders until the 70s, I believe, and there was a movement to have that removed. Okay, so that's why that term is a bit of a problem. Transgender is a different identity. People who are transgender, it's about their gender identity, not about who they're attracted to. I've tried to make that really clear, and hopefully the video that you watched, Growing Up Trans, also helped your informing you on this front. So people who are transgender can identify as straight, they can identify as gay, they can identify as lesbian, they can identify as bisexual or pansexual or asexual, because gender is not the same as sexual orientation. So if you only remember one thing, that's really important. The opposite, or another term to counterbalance transgender, is cisgender, CIS gender, and all that means is the gender identity that you were assigned based on your sex category at birth matches how you think of yourself. So if you were born with female genitalia and you were assigned the category of woman and you think of yourself as a woman, you are cisgender. Doesn't say anything about your sexual orientation. If you were born with those genitalia and chromosomes, but you think of yourself as male and as a man, and that's how you identify, you may identify as transgender. Again, doesn't say anything about who you would prefer in terms of a partner. Okay, and then you've learned a lot about options for treatment for gender confirming surgeries and hormone treatment and therapies. through watching the video, which I am from reading your responses, it seems like people are really appreciating and finding interesting. And I do want to let you know that that video is a little dated, so we're getting more and more information about that as well. Okay, if you have questions about this or you are still confused, make sure to reach out to me and I'm happy to try to help you work through these terms. There's a lot more identities under the LGBTQIA umbrella, and I don't necessarily have time right now to do them all justice, but please respect an individual's pronouns and their identity, and try not to ask them questions you wouldn't ask someone or you wouldn't be comfortable if someone asked you. Okay, thank you and good luck on your final.